Hi everybody and welcome to GameGorgon. My name is Croog.
I'm Indigo.
And we're here today to talk to you about Smite's Hand of the Gods. I mean, are you confused? We're gonna talk to them about it.
I mean, do we have to though?
We do. So for those of you that don't know, Hand of the Gods is HiRez Studios' entry into tactics style gameplay. It's basically a card game combined with chess and stuff like that. And it's out for early access since September 12th, and we got to hop in there and play a couple rounds, and I'm gonna tell you how we feel about it.
Okay, let me just start off by saying this. I love card games. I play Hearthstone constantly. I have Magic the Gathering playing cards. Like, I love strategy games. I love RTS. I love turn-based strategy. I love all of that. I don't love this game. There's quite a few reasons behind it, but I think we should go a little bit more into what the game it is itself.
Yeah, sure. So in Hand of the Gods, you start with a 25-card deck. Similarly to Hearthstone, you can only have 2 copies of each card per deck. The mechanics during a game are also, again, very similar to Hearthstone. You draw some cards out of your deck randomly. You get to discard or mulligan a couple of them based on how you feel your hand is. And then you start taking turns back and forth playing cards onto the field. You start with 2 mana in this game, which is kind of strange, right?
You start with 2 mana, and what they also do with Hearthstone is if you're the second player to go, you get an extra card that tells you get 1 extra mana.
Yeah, a 0-cost card that gives you 1 extra mana for the turn. And that is the same in Hand of the Gods. You get a mana potion, basically. So you go back and forth, you play cards onto an 8x5 grid, and this is where it starts to differentiate itself from Hearthstone and kind of put itself into a different genre altogether. So the grid will contain any creatures that you place down. There are also some structures that you can play, but it functions basically the same way. So every creature has a move speed and an attack range. And dependent on those 2 stats, that will decide what that creature can attack or can't attack during any given turn. So for example, if you play a structure card that has a range of 3, that card can't move and can only attack creatures that are within a 3-tile radius from it. Whereas if you play a card that has like a range of none, which makes it melee, can only attack adjacent creatures, but the difference between it being able to attack and not being able to attack is how far away something is compared to its move speed. So that kind of adds a layer of complexity to the game, although like we'll get into later, I don't think it's implemented super perfectly just yet.
Yeah, and on each side of the map there is like this crystal unit. And the goal for each player is to put minions out there and to destroy the other team's crystal. Each person is a different high-level god of a different pantheon, and each one of them has a different power. So, example, the one god that I like to play a lot is Ra. And Ra chooses a line on the map and heals everyone for 1 health in that line. While I believe Odin is able to create a 1/1 creature that has Rush.
Yeah, Charge?
Charge, sorry.
Bologna can unwillingly move your opponent's characters or your own characters, depending on what the situation calls for. Mm-hmm. So basically, that's the hero power equivalent, right? They even cost the same as hero powers in Hearthstone. It's 2 mana. You go back and forth until one player destroys the enemy crystal, and then the game's over.
But that's kind of where it's lackluster, is that it's very static. So the games that I played against random people, I just wiped the floor with them.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about. Maybe it's because it's early access. Maybe not a lot of people that are high-level, like strategy game veterans have gotten into this game just yet, but I had the same exact experience. The second I start a match, maybe like 3 turns in, I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win. Like, I don't understand. I'm not that good at these kinds of games. I shouldn't be winning this easily, but there you go, I did.
And then when we played each other, we found a really fun bug, which is... you go in and you each choose the deck that you want to use, and then it will sit there and it says, okay, waiting for your opponent to choose a deck, but since he's in the same room with me, I knew he had already chose, so we're like, okay, there must be a bug. We hit cancel, it successfully said, okay, cancel, and then the game started.
Yeah, it was really strange. And we thought it was like, oh, maybe that was just a
the
fluke.
one time.
Yeah, because it started almost immediately after we hit cancel. So we were like, oh, that was a weird thing. Let's test it.
Yeah.
And so we both selected a deck and then immediately hit cancel, and it just sat us at the deck selection screen for a solid like 30 seconds, and then the game started.
Yeah.
We hadn't done anything else. We were like, okay, That's a weird button.
Yeah,
The cancel button doesn't work.
Yeah.
But again, it's beta. That's more of a funny anecdote than it is a knock on the game.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. The other issue I have is that it snowballs. It snowballs really, really quickly.
Yeah,
Like,
and we both noticed this, even in our games against each
Yeah.
other. And that was, correct me if I'm wrong, a substantial challenge.
oh yeah.
Especially relative to the quick match stuff.
Like, so it would start off, I would play something, he would counter it, and then he would play something, and then I would counter it. And so it was just like nothing was happening. And then the second one of us was able to do something that, like,
Could it be immediately countered?
exactly, then that person immediately won.
That was the beginning of the end of the game.
Yeah.
Every single time. If I played a card that he couldn't deal with on his turn, I win, basically, is what it felt like. There's no room for kind of like coming back. At least, again, we're playing at the very beginning of the
Yeah.
game. We're playing with starter cards, so we're not super
But
like.
still, like, if you're, and these are decks that the game maker has decided.
Yeah.
These are what you should start with.
So the variable isn't us being stupid and making our decks.
Yeah,
Unless they made really bad decks on purpose. Who knows?
The other thing is I don't feel that there's enough variation. Like, there's different cards and different creatures that you can make, but the problem I had is like the map itself was just this 5x8, and it was super boring and nothing really exciting about it.
And I didn't really think that that was a detriment to the game. I just think it was a missed opportunity. Like, you have this playing field
Yeah.
where you have all this space, but there's nothing about the space that's interesting aside from the two objectives and obviously the cards that you play onto the space. They could have had tar pits that cost more movement to move through, or like spike traps, or
Or lanes. I mean, Smite is known to have lanes. Even in the single lane game of Smite, there are two external lanes that you can go around. And so I think it would be really interesting to have multi-lanes where if you're a ranged character, yeah, you can do attacks in the other lanes. But as a melee character, like if you put melee units, it made it harder. Because I felt because the map was so small, and the movements were so great that it didn't make a difference.
Yeah.
Like it didn't.
That was another thing, is I felt like the map was either too small or the average character's move speed was too high. And I actually did read something online that said that apparently before, in closed beta, everything was too slow. Yeah, everything was too slow, so you couldn't really make a lot of progress on any given turn. I actually would prefer that to what it is right now, because it kind of gives you a chance to get into a formation, and it gives you a chance to kind of build up a group before you rush in. Right now, it just feels like if I'm not playing a creature and rushing to either whatever creature he has on the field to trade for it, or to the objective, then I'm wasting a turn. But, aside from playing the card and moving it, like, how is that different from Hearthstone if there's no in-between period?
Yeah.
For kind of like, to add like a layer of complexity or a layer of deciding, oh, I'm not gonna rush in, I'm gonna sit back and build up a group and then go in, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like that's really an option.
It's a free-to-play game, so you guys can get into it right now. There are card pack purchases that you can do, and that's kind of where you can get money, or they get money. You can also buy a Founders Pack. Let us know, what do you guys think? Do you think that this is something that's exciting? Is this something, a new take on the genre? Let us know in the comments. In the meantime, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. Make sure to hit the like button. It's really, really important for us to get that. It helps the channel a lot. Until next time,
We're GameGorgon,
I'm Indigo.
and I'm Croog.
Bye.